If you've ever watched high-level Rocket League and thought, why does this guy always seem to be in the right place at the right time? Well, the chances are you're probably watching ApparentlyJack. He's not the flashiest player in the world, and he's not consistently going for triple flip resets or sealing musties every 5 seconds. But somehow, he just wins. Today, we're going to talk about how ApparentlyJack became one of the smartest and most consistent players in Rocket League. Before the tournaments and before the recognition, ApparentlyJack was just Jack, a UK-based Rocket League pro who built his name the same way a lot of players try to, by grinding the game non-stop. But what's interesting about Jack isn't how good he is, it's how he comes across. He's calm, pretty down to earth, and not overly loud or exaggerated, which is kind of rare in the YouTube space.
You're so dead. How are you not?
What?
What?
If you've watched his videos, you'll notice he talks through his decisions a lot. Why he challenged, why he didn't, and what he's thinking in real time. And that gives you a glimpse into how his brain works while playing. It's not chaotic, it's structured. And that personality, calm, analytical, and focused, carries directly into his gameplay. Like pretty much every Rocket League pro, Jack didn't start out on a big stage. No crowds, no prize pools, no hype. Just ranked, a lot of ranked. We're talking hours and hours of queuing, losing, winning, improving, and most importantly, learning how the game actually works. Because early on, it wasn't about being flashy, it was about understanding. About understanding where to be, where to challenge, and when not to go. Which is something a lot of players skip. Now here's the thing about ApparentlyJack. He doesn't play Rocket League like it's a mechanics contest. He plays like it's a strategy game. While other players are diving in hoping to outplay with speed, Jack is already thinking about what happens next. If he challenges here, where does the ball go? If he doesn't, what's the risk? That extra layer of thinking is what makes him so hard to play against. Because he's not reacting, he's just predicting. With all that being said, he's obviously very mechanically gifted. He of course is a professional. Eventually that mindset started to pay off. Jack began climbing through the competitive scene. Qualifiers, smaller events, and then the big stage. And once he hit top level play, something became really clear. He belonged there. Not because he was the most mechanical player, but because he made fewer mistakes than almost anyone else. At the highest level, that's everything. To really understand ApparentlyJack, you have to look at the journey, because it wasn't overnight at all. Jack's professional career starts in around 2019. Not as a superstar, not even really as a player at first. He actually began as a coach, before slowly transitioning into playing competitively. From there, it was the classic grind, small teams, smaller tournaments, trying to prove himself. No spotlight yet, just building experience. Then came the first real breakthrough, signing to Dignitas. This was where people started really paying attention. At RLCS events, Jack and Dignitas showed serious potential, even if results didn't always go their way. After a tough loss at a major, Jack said the event was an invaluable learning experience. And that mindset, treating losses as lessons, became a huge part of his career. As expectations grew, so did the pressure. At one point, Jack talked about how focusing too much on results actually hurts performance, with him saying, "We put too much pressure on the results, that didn't help." That's something a lot of pros deal with, but not everyone is open about it. And instead of collapsing under the pressure, he adjusted. Then came one of the biggest moves in his career, which was joining Gen G Mobile 1 Racing and moving to North America. This is where everything clicked. In the 2022-23 season, Jack and Gen G didn't just compete, they won one of the biggest tournaments in Rocket League, RLCS full split major where they got first place. He even earned MVP of the event. From grinding rank to being the best player at the major, that's a massive jump. And it wasn't a one-off either. Multiple regional wins, consistent top finishes, top 8 at the World Championship. At this point, he wasn't just a promising player anymore, he was established. Since then, Jack has stayed at the top level across multiple teams, including returning to Dignitas and later moving on again. He played in multiple RLCS championships and remained a consistent contender year after year. Some of his recent results include second place at the 2025 Raleigh Major and top 4 at the Esports World Cup in 2024. Not always first, but always in the conversation. And in Rocket League, that level of consistency is rare. Behind the scenes, it hasn't always been easy. At one point, Jack even opened up about burnout and personal struggles, talking about the pressure of trying to outwork everyone. But instead of stepping away completely, he came back stronger. From coaching small teams to winning RLCS majors to becoming one of the most respected minds in the game. ApparentlyJack's career is built on one thing: improvement, no hype, no luck, just consistent, steady progress. And honestly, he's still not done yet. So what's ApparentlyJack doing now? Because at this point in his career, he's not just a pro player, he's kind of built an entire ecosystem around himself. Right now, Jack is balancing two worlds: high-level competitive Rocket League and full-time content creation. On YouTube, he's built a channel focused on improving players, ranked gameplay, and just straight up smart Rocket League. It's not over-edited or clickbait heavy, it's more like you're just sitting behind a pro player watching how they think. And that's a big reason why people stick around. Across platforms, his audience has grown into the hundreds of thousands. His YouTube has consistently strong views on gameplay and analysis content, his Twitch with regular streams and high-level ranked play, and he also has Twitter or X where he shares thoughts, updates and interacts with fans. He is not just known as a player anymore, he's one of the go-to creators if you actually want to understand Rocket League and improve. There's also another big part of his content recently, which is his relationship with fellow content creator Geordies. The two have appeared in a bunch of videos together, often mixing gameplay with more casual, fun content like coaching sessions, or even challenges and quizzes about each other. That dynamic adds something completely different to his content. It's less pro player versus the world, and more relaxed, more personal. You get to see a different side of him, not just the competitor, but the person. Geordies herself is also a growing creator and streamer, with thousands of followers and an active audience on Twitch, so when they collaborate it kind of blends the two audiences together. All of this is actually a big part of why Jack has stayed so relevant, because being a pro player isn't always enough long term, but building a personality, a brand and connection with viewers, that's what keeps you around. At this point, ApparentlyJack isn't just a Rocket League pro, he's a competitor, a teacher, a content creator, and honestly, one of the clearest examples of how esports players are evolving beyond just the game. Lastly, we have the coaching that he does now. One of the most interesting parts of ApparentlyJack's journey is how he's gone from learning the game to teaching it. A big example of this is his coaching content, especially when he's worked with creator Johnny Boy. Now, if you've been around Rocket League for a while, you'll know Johnny Boy is basically one of the voices of the scene, casting matches, hosting show matches, and breaking things down. He understands the game at a really deep level. So when you put someone like that together with ApparentlyJack, you get something different. The coaching sessions aren't really about flashy mechanics. They're about decision making, why did you go there, why did you jump, what was the safer option, and just how to get better. What's interesting is even at a high level, they focus on really simple things, like positioning, patience, and awareness. Jack especially has a way of explaining the game that just makes sense. He doesn't overcomplicate it, he doesn't try to sound overly technical, he just breaks it down in a way where you can actually apply it to your own games. And when you combine that with Johnny Boy's experience and perspective, it creates this balance between analysis and real in-game execution. That's why these sessions are so valuable, because they show something most players don't realise. You don't need insane mechanics to improve, you just need better decisions. And in a way, that's exactly what AppJack's career has been about from the start. Not doing the most, but doing the right thing. From grinding ranked in his early days, to competing on the biggest stages in Rocket League. From learning the game to teaching thousands of players about it. ApparentlyJack's journey isn't just about being one of the best, it's about how he got there. In a game that consistently is getting faster, flashier and more mechanical, he built his success on something different. Consistency, awareness and smart decision making. And that's what makes him so dangerous to other players. Not just what he can do with the ball, but how he understands it. The best part is that he's still playing, still creating, and still improving. So whether you're watching for the gameplay or trying to get better yourself, ApparentlyJack is one of those players you can't ignore. Because sometimes the smartest player in the lobby is the one who looks the simplest. Subscribe if you want more Rocket League documentaries, and let me know who I should cover next. Cheers.